What's up, everybody? My name's Chance, and today we're going to be filming our first patron-only video. So this is strictly for those of you who do support me over on Patreon, and basically for those of you who don't, this will come up as blocked, so completely irrelevant. Nonetheless, we had our first poll a couple weeks ago, and it's taken me a little bit of time to put the deck together and to get around to actually playing it, as you guys know it's a little bit difficult for me to even get out one a day, but I have been doing that, and so I found a little bit of time. I figured I would go ahead and make this video for you guys. So I asked what deck you guys wanted to see, and y'all said Temur can't be countered deck, so that's exactly what we've constructed here. Now, just as in my YouTube videos, I'll go ahead and run through the deck tech or the deck breakdown, but these videos aren't going to be as serious or any of that. Obviously, we're probably going to be playing more jank decks, more requested decks from you guys, so basically we're just gonna have fun with it, and I'm gonna be a whole lot more relaxed, and these games probably won't be as good or as curated. Probably won't even do much editing with these videos, so this is just something a little bit extra for those of you who do donate. So moving on, we're gonna hop right into it. I probably won't explain the cards as well either, just the general gist of the deck. A lot of this is already in the name, of course. Can't be countered, right? So our whole goal for this is to throw down creature cards that can't be countered, and I'm pretty sure this was requested specifically because somebody had been facing a lot of counter decks or a lot of control decks, and I know as well as anyone those can be very annoying. So hopefully this is something you can play whenever you're running into a lot of those to sort of get through it. So kicking us off, we have 4 copies of War Elves. Not too important, other than the fact that it allows us to turn to Rhythm of the Wild, which is super important. So if you want to look at it indirectly, War Elves is a really key card. That's why we do have 4 copies of it. Rhythm of the Wilds is your bread and butter. Essentially, creature spells you control can't be countered. So yeah, this is gonna make all of your things that's not Carnage Tyrant and Niv Mizzet uncounterable. So Jade Light, Merfolk Branchwalker, War Elves. You don't have a whole lot besides that. You have your Coldwater Snapper and Gruul Spellbreaker, of course, but yeah, outside of that you don't have a whole lot. And I did go back and forth on adding in what's the card I'm looking for, Wild Growth Walkers. Obviously they work pretty well in any deck where you have some explore factors, and we do have explore factors in this deck. But I felt, just for the sake of sticking to the Temur color, that we shouldn't overpower it too much with green. We already have a whole lot, so yeah, that's why the War Elves are in here. Long story short, Shimmer of Possibility is going to let us dig into our deck to find basically whatever we may need at the current time of us using it. So Lava Cool is going to be some removal for us. Broken Bond, we've been seeing a lot of enchantment play, so Broken Bond is simply the cheapest, best enchantment removal available in the game. So all the other 2-cost enchantment removals or artifact / enchantment removals simply do that one effect, whereas this, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield, so it can help you ramp occasionally, very rarely, but still better than not being able to, I do suppose. So moving on, we have 3 copies of Merfolk Branchwalker. Essentially, this helps get us through our deck, keeps us from flooding, and it's some early fodder, basically, for whatever creatures our opponent may throw down. 3 copies of Root Snare, just in case we get into some tricky situations where they have flyers and we're not able to take them out, or they got a lot of tokens. This is some really cheap counterplay to that. 2 copies of Curator's Ward. Obviously, if you draw these, you're gonna throw them on your Rhythm of the Wild, 100%. Why? Because as soon as a counter deck sees Rhythm of the Wild, they're gonna play their Destroy enchantment, probably a Mortify or whatever it may be. So if you can get a Curator's Ward onto your Rhythm of the Wild first, then they'll have to destroy the Curator's Ward first, and then use another enchantment destroyer to destroy Rhythm of the Wild. Which you have 2 copies of Curator's Ward and 3 copies of Rhythm of the Wild, so the chance that they run 5 ways to destroy enchantments is super unlikely. So you should feel pretty safe with your Rhythm of the Wilds being able to come out and stay out. Moving us on from Curator's Ward, we have 3 Grow from the Ashes. Obviously, this is going to help you ramp. 2 Jade Light Rangers, again, similar effect to the Merfolk Branchwalker, 1 more mana cost. Explores twice. Pretty, worthwhile trade out there. 2 copies of Recollect. Pretty much as I've explained in the creature list build that we did over on YouTube. This card is excellent for getting back whatever you need in the moment. So it's really versatile in the fact that you're not always going to recollect your Carnage Giant, or you're not always going to recollect your Niv Mizzet, right? Though you may try and do that a lot because these are your better cards. You could recollect a Lava Cool if you really needed one, or a Shimmer of Possibility if you think you can draw out a card you really need because it's not in your graveyard. So it's a lot of different combinations to use Recollect with, and I find it to be pretty good. Also, it being a sorcery spell is going to trigger the Niv Mizzet we have in our deck, so that's pretty good as well. Moving us on, we have 1 copy of Gruul Spellbreaker, as that's all I have. This card is pretty excellent. For only costing 3 mana, you get a 3/3 with Riot and Trample down innately. But let's say you played your turn 2 Rhythm of the Wild, so now you turn 3 Gruul Spellbreaker, which comes down with 2 effects of Riot, I guess I'll say, and Trample. So obviously you're going to give them, probably a +1/+1 counter and haste. So you get a 4/4 with Trample coming out on turn 3, which is, crazy. So yeah, moving us on, we have 3 copies of Rhythm of the Wild. I feel like I've already been over this card several times, so we'll skip on down past it. Coldwater Snapper. Okay, so let's talk about the alternatives to Coldwater Snapper just real quick. Show you guys sort of what we're dealing with here. So besides Coldwater Snapper, our hexproof creatures that we're sort of limited to, we have Von Mare, which I feel like we have enough green creatures as is, but Von Mare is okay. It does only have 3 health, so sort of not the best. But nonetheless, we do have Von Mare at 4 mana for a 5/3. So it does have 1 more power, but it only has 3 health. Again, whether or not you value having more health, that's up to you. Me personally, I do. So the 1 more mana cost for the Coldwater Snapper and the less limited mana cost. I'm sorry, it's 2 more mana, not 1. Nonetheless, it's still worthwhile in my eyes. So we are running Coldwater Snapper over Von Mare. Nullhide Ferox, I don't want to pay the 2 mana every time I go to cast a spell that's not a creature, right? If we're trying to get out Rhythm of the Wild, or we're trying to get out Recollect, or trying to get out Grow from the Ashes, or Curator's Ward, or Root Snare, like I don't want it to be an obstacle that we have to face. We have Humongous, which is 1 mana less and a 2/5, so it takes a huge power cut for 1 mana, which isn't, really worth it in my eyes. 5 mana for a 2/5 just isn't spectacular. Now I may do a deck in the future that's Azorius Enchantments or Auras, so I feel like that could be pretty fun actually. But yeah, besides Gruul Spellbreaker and Carnage Tyrant, we only have like Arboretum Elemental, which, I mean, it's a card that exists, but I'm not really trying to ramp up to 9 mana to play it, right? And the creatures that we have out, sure, we'd be able to tap them, but the chances that we have surviving Jade Light Rangers and Merfolk Branchwalkers into late enough turns where we can convoke them for an Arboretum is just kind of unlikely. So that's why we are running Coldwater Snapper. And then, of course, if we're playing a Temur can't be countered deck, we have to play Carnage Tyrant and Niv Mizzet, as these cards innately can't be countered. So that's gonna wrap up our little deck tech or deck breakdown there, and we'll go ahead and hop right into a couple games. Now again, as I said, these videos aren't going to be as curated as the ones over on YouTube, so sometimes I may not edit anything out. Sometimes I may only do 2 matches. Sometimes, it may be this or that. I'm just telling you guys, don't expect the best out of these, but I figured it would be a little something extra I could do for you. So I'll go first, and I'm not loving the hand, not even gonna lie. Maybe we should have played the Sulphur Falls there just so we could have it out, because I'm a little bit worried about whether or not we're going to be able to get a mountain or an island in time. Yeah, we're gonna go and play the Sulphur Falls. I don't really want to Lava Cool his Land of War Elves anyways. I'm fairly sure he's gonna have more important creatures for us to Lava Cool, so this will allow us to play Rhythm of the Wild on turn 3, as Hinterland Harbor can come out untapped because we do have a forest. So, and there's Rootbound Crag, so I guess technically we would have been able to cast it anyways. Still, having not known that previously, perfectly fine with throwing down Rhythm of the Wild, and next turn we may go ahead and throw Curator's Ward on it. And we're probably gonna Lava Cool his Raptor Hatchling, or maybe even his Knight of the Stampede. That's actually probably a little bit better. He is going Naya. See, we can throw down a Curator's Ward and a Land of War. Save our Lava Cool. Yeah. Let's protect our Rhythm of the Wild. Sure, let's put a +1/+1 counter on our Land of War, so I guess he can defend out other Land of War. Quick little note, if you play Land of War with Rhythm of the Wild, you can give them haste in order to tap them on the same turn you play them, essentially making them cost 0. So we don't have anything for 1 mana that we want to play this turn anyways, so we're not going to worry about it for this turn. But it is a cool little fact to note. And we're just going to keep taking this little wimpy beating from our opponent, which is super unfortunate. And the fact that we lost Land of War there actually does really hurt us, because we just drew a Jade Light, and had we kept the Land of War, we'd be able to play a Lava Cool to take out his Knight of the Stampede. But since we didn't and we just drew a Jade Light, I'm going to go ahead and throw down the Jade Light because it does explore twice. Sure, let's give it a +1/+1 counter. Shimmer of Possibility, let's keep it. We got a 5/4 Jade Light Ranger out on the field. I'm okay with that. Not saying our opponent is completely screwed, but they are getting a little bit mana stuck here. Goblin Instigator. I've never seen goblins fit into a dinosaur deck like that. Oh well, you know, to each their own. We're gonna play Shimmer of Possibility first, then we'll play Lava Cool, probably on the Knight of Stampede. The Raptor Hatchling isn't as scary now that we have a 5/4 creature out, so. This is interesting because we can't cast Coldwater Snapper even if we get it out. Another copy of Rhythm of the Wild is something, but we don't have any creatures in hand, so maybe we just get a land and try to ramp up to Niv Mizzet. Right now, if we get a land, we'd be 4 mana into it, because the plain forest card doesn't work for us at all for Niv Mizzet. This is a little bit difficult, a little bit tricky here. Maybe we do just go for the second copy of Rhythm of the Wild, right? It's going to make every creature that comes out a little bit stronger. Otherwise, it's going to the bottom of our deck. But what's our play after that, right? We're still relying on top deck, so maybe we do take a Sulphur Falls. Although Sulphur Falls, well, we do already have the 2 mana. Fuck, I don't like it. Alright, we gotta take Sulphur Falls. We're only sitting at 4 mana, so yeah, it'll come out tapped, but that's okay. And we Lava Cool the Knight of Stampede. And no attacks. Alright, that was actually a pretty difficult scenario there. I don't think Coldwater Snapper was the correct pick, for sure. But Rhythm of the Wild could have been good if we would have top decked perfectly for it, you know? I feel like getting the land is a lot safer. Now he's probably got a Lightning Strike, right? Or maybe he doesn't care if all these units die. Maybe he's just a rush deck. But I'm betting he has a Lightning Strike to kill my Jade Light Ranger. If he does, that's super unfortunate for us. But I kind of have to take the risk as we are getting a little bit lower on health. And I was correct. He did have a Lightning Strike. So interesting little fact. That little mono color land right there is actually 100% fucking us over. If we had either a green or a blue source in it, we'd be able to throw down our Niv Mizzet. But since we don't, we could very well see us just being killed within the next 2 turns, 3 turns. The fact that he did get mana screwed is really helping me though. Not even gonna lie. Okay, so we're down to 6. Next turn, he does have lethal. Grow from the Ashes. That's actually not gonna do it for us, right? He's gonna kill us. Ah, that's sad. Alright, so we'll throw down the GG and we'll go ahead and just move into the next one. Yeah, so Niv is a bit of a limited card, and sometimes it'll fuck you over like that, but that's okay. That's alright. Most of the time I'm off by more than just one to play Niv Mizzet, but it's a fun card, and this is a counter deck, so the decks that we're trying to go up against are very niche, and we may not even end up going up against counter deck in our games tonight, but you know, I told you guys I would try to make these Patreon only videos, so that's what I'm shooting for here. Next opponent's gonna be SGXIXO. Ooh. I do not like this starting hand at all. Islands are not that important to us. Well, I mean, yeah, right? It gets us all the way up to 5 mana. I think we still play... Oh no, we do draw the Llanowar out turn 1. Fuck, well, we gotta play a forest then, so we can play Llanowar turn 1 and... Well, hell, we couldn't play... what's it called, even if we wanted to. Rhythm of the Wild. We don't have a red mana that can come out untapped, and even if we were to draw Rhythm of the Wild this next turn, we're not gonna have the red mana, you know, untapped, so... Yeah. Our opponent looking like he's running a mono white Ajani deck, which is super unfortunate for us. As our deck's really slow, and it's meant for these counter decks that are also slow. Keep going up against these very aggro decks. That's okay. We'll see if we can't still pull out a victory here. This game may very well get out of hand very quickly, and Ajani's Pridemate is a scary card when we don't have any removal in hand, especially since our only source of removal really is Lava Cool. Maybe we swap Lava Cool for what's some exile? What's some hell? I don't know. Maybe some enchantment in blue, where you tap the opponent's creature and they just never untap. Either way, we're gonna take quite a beating on this turn, so this game could be over very quickly. Actually, yeah, we're just gonna move on. I'm trying to get at least one game for you guys where it's like, you know, what the deck's actually supposed to do, but we're not having any luck, so we'll go for a couple more games. I did just get off work, so it's not like I'm in a time limit too much. I do still need to go to bed and would like to at a reasonable hour, but up against Bear Beat. Oh, all these questionable hands. Maybe it's just a questionable deck. It's very real. I've remade this deck like 5 times, and every time I make it, I'm like, it just feels like something's off. And yeah, again, this time it feels like something's off. So if you guys have any suggestions, please by all means leave them down there, because I'm sure the people that ask for the deck would greatly appreciate them. I'm not the greatest at crafting all sorts of decks. I like to think I'm okay, but these decks that have a very weird niche sort of archetype to them are a little bit difficult for me to draft, or rather create, construct, whatever you want to call it, without having all the cards. So having a red mana or a mountain would have been fantastic, so we could actually throw down Gruul Spellbreaker on turn 2, but you know, turn 3 Llanowar Elves is I guess okay. It's about the least okay play possible, but at least it is a play, and we didn't just have to skip, right? We could just be getting completely mana screwed. Instead, we're just drawing everything Millhouse. And I think we just go ahead and destroy his Selesnya Locket. Obviously, he could have some conclaves come out later and all that, but he's trying to ramp somewhere with it, so let's just get it out of the way, right? Alright. I mean, cool. I think that's the only time I've ever won a game off of Broken Bond, but sure. Alright, so two more games, because that one didn't really count. And again, I don't think I'll be editing these as much, so probably just leave all this like in the middle of the game talk or whatever in, just so I don't have to put as much into the videos. I do hope you guys understand. So I'll probably still do the intro and the outro. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see. I mean, we have all the land we could possibly want and every way to get all of our dual lands out, so why not, right? This picture always reminds me of Solitude from Skyrim, just because it has that little city underneath the rising up city, right? Turn 1 Footlight Fiend. I can dig it, sure. Sure. 10 Street Dodger. This could be a very quick game for us. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. We're gonna go and throw down our island, so whenever I go to throw down Sulphur Falls, I don't make the huge mistake like I oftentimes make of throwing it down thinking that I can throw it down just because I see the blue mana from Hinterland Harbor. So yeah, our opponent's stacking up a decent bit of damage early. It's okay, we got a Root Snare, so, you know, whenever you go to deal that last bit, I'm gonna cuff you. Let's get some red out there, right? And a Llanowar. Are you gonna shock my Llanowar? Don't do it. Don't be that asshole. Alrighty. Well, we're not drawing that great, but to be fair, our opponent is drawing tremendously well. I think this is the first turn where he hasn't had a play, plus a land to play, so this does end out his perfect little curvature. Unfortunately for us, our curvature's a little fucked. That's alright. Kick it back to my turn. Lava Cool. I mean, sure, let's kill the Enforcer, right? Makes the most sense. He doesn't get the Afterlife, it has Death Touch on it, it has the most life, so get out of here. And then we'll keep the Root Snare. I just can't justify using a Root Snare against a bunch of one attacking creatures unless it's like a board full of support links, and then, you know, yeah, I'm all on board for Root Snaring the hell out of them. Alright, so we'll pass to attackers. He's gonna swing back in. We're down to 11. And kick it back to my turn. Sure, let's throw down our Sulphur Falls now. Let's see what we can draw out with Shimmer of Possibility. Carnage Tyrant or a Rhythm of the Wild. Ooh, that's difficult. Well, we don't really have to worry about being countered this game, right? Because we're up against red-black. So let's just get Carney T. And yeah, we'll end it there. I may use Root Snare on this turn just to keep our opponent from dealing any more damage. Because I definitely don't just want him to sweep us out just because he managed to get in a bunch of little weak fucking bitch slaps early. Alrighty. Carney T, do your thing. Can't be countered. Has hexproof, has trample. So the only thing that's gonna remove him is some board wipe or an Eldest Reborn, which I couldn't see a Rakdos deck playing Eldest Reborn. Not, at least not the deck we're seeing here. Okay, so he's still gonna ring in the 1 damage with 10 Street Dodger. That's alright. And then he'll probably sacrifice Footlight Fiend. Yeah. Oh, what? What? Hold up. That's not what I meant. I meant next turn he would sacrifice him. Does he have another one? No? It's an interesting play. Rhythm of the Wild before our Cold Water Snapper? I don't think so. I think we just go Cold Water Snapper, right? Because we're going to need a creature to defend after we slam in with our Carney T. So, let's get down to Cold Water Snapper. Unfortunately... Oh, well, our opponent's just going to surrender, so that's alright. Alrighty. We'll play one more, hoping for a counter deck. Of course, now that I'm out looking for the counter decks, I can't play them. But whenever I'm trying to play a serious deck... Well, I say serious, like a, you know, a YouTube deck. A lot of those are still janky decks. But nonetheless, whenever I'm trying to do a YouTube video, I go up against counter decks like non-stop. Here I am trying to find one, and I can't find one. So we're up against a Ninja Ducky. Sounds awesome, right? Well, could be worse, I suppose. We have 2 Niv Mizzets in hand, so I'm going to keep it. And that's solely the reason I'm keeping it, actually. We have a decent mana start, and we have 2 Niv Mizzets, so 0 red mana, which is, you know, interesting little point to add. Hopefully we can get there. Jadelot Ranger will come down on a turn 3. Thankfully, we do have 2 copies of Hinterland Harbor, so that may help us get some land. I was going to say that will help us get some land, but I can't guarantee it's going to get us land, so we will hope. Azorius playing a Daybreak Chaplain. Or Chaplain? I don't know. We're going to play our Jadelot Ranger before our Merfolk Branchwalker. And it does get us 1 card. The Forest doesn't help us at all with our Niv Mizzet, but you know, it's something, and we can't really turn it away. Seeing a Rhythm of the Wild, though, we definitely have to keep it. We see blue mana, and we're just gonna have to hope it's control. Although, thus far, he's not showing any very control-y elements. Mentor of the Meek, obviously not the world's greatest control card. Yeah, we'll stick to our plan, stick to our guns. Another Hinterland Harbor, really. So we're just playing Simic this game, huh? We can swing in with Jadelot Ranger. Yeah, he's not gonna block him with Mentor of the Meek. Could have blocked him with Daybreak, but it wouldn't kill my Jadelot Ranger, so he's just gonna lose a unit there, which no one ever wants to do. So yeah, apparently we're just gonna be playing with our Simic colors today. No playing red mana. That's all right, I guess. We're just gonna get teased by Niv Mizzet every time. Also, I'm trying out my my earbuds instead of my headphones for this video today. Just didn't feel like wearing them. Hopefully you guys will understand and not say too much about my weird hair. I'm sure it's going all over the place. That's something. Sure. Well, get your Curious Obsession card drawing with Daybreak. It's a very odd. I don't know what card he's looking to put Curious Obsession on in this deck. Maybe some Healer's Hawks. Maybe he just didn't draw any Healer's Hawks and that's what he was looking for. Either way, it seems like a weird deck. Alright. Oh man, if we can draw a red mana, I would be so happy. Alrighty. Swinging with Jade Light. Now, we're technically only dealing 1 point of damage here because we deal 3, he deals 2 to us with lifelink, so he's going to go back up 2, so he'll still stay at 18 and we're going to go down to 16, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll draw at least one singular source of red mana so we can get this Rhythm of the Wild out, then our Cold Water Snapper for a little bit higher. Alert, that's interesting with Daybreak Chaplain for sure, as of now it's a 4/4, dealing a lot more damage. Mentor of the Meek doesn't benefit at all from it, but yeah, so it's Azorius Walls of some kind. Can't really afford to block that either, though it does mean that on our turn we may just keep our Jade Light back. Clearly her attacking is not benefiting us as much as she would if we could just kill the Daybreak. Alrighty, no red mana, so we will throw down the Cold Water Snapper. And since that was our play, we can probably go ahead and swing in with Jade Light. And the Branch Walker. Deal 5 damage. And our Cold Water Snapper can block out the Daybreak, so this will also be our last video since it is, you know, an actual game. Though it may be Jank versus Jank, considering we have an Azorius healing. I don't even know what to call his deck. I would like to see the full breakdown of it though. So if he does an attack here, he will lose his Curious Obsession, which I'm perfectly fine with, honestly. A way to deal with High Alert would be fine. So, as much as I hate to say it, what is it, a Broken Bond? I believe that's the card's name. Broken Bond probably wouldn't be bad. A red mana would be fantastic. I would enjoy that. Or Growth from the Wild. I'd take a Growth from the Wild. Or Grow from the Ashes, whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. We'd at least be able to get 2 red mana out. Ooh, that's scary. So now we can't block her. She deals more damage. Yeah. Duh. Even more damage. Wonderful. So, it's fair to say that we probably lost this. Maybe running, what's the word, or what's the card I'm looking for? Maybe running Crushing Canopy is actually better than Broken Bond. I've thought about it. It's just, I didn't really play up against very many flower decks, but, I mean, I guess this is a scenario where it would be good. Hell, in this scenario, a different deck would probably be good. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to face up against any control decks tonight. So I do feel kind of bad about that. But can't say I didn't try, as this is what, our 4th or 5th game. So sure, let's throw down Carney T, the big biter. Probably would have preferred to have Rhythm of the Wild out first, but that's okay. We'll swing in with both of our creatures. If he wants to trade out a Novice Knight for a Jade Light Ranger, by all means do it. If you want to double block with your Mentor the Meek and your Novice Knight onto my Cold Water Snapper, by all means. I do not have a whole lot of faith left in us winning this game, as he's going to deal 6 to us the next turn and 6 to us the turn after that. So unless we could somehow get Niv-Mizzet out, which we can't, and honestly that damage we just dealt, he's still going to be back up to 20 after his attack with Daybreak here, so some removal, any removal would have been nice. We obviously could Root Snare to, okay, that's going to be GG. Nice little hexproof play there by him with the dive down. So I mean, I guess his deck works. It still doesn't seem that good. Like, ours is just geared specifically to not be countered, so whenever we're not facing up against a counter deck, then a lot of our tricks and all that sort of fall to the wayside, right? I think this deck probably just needs to be streamlined. Maybe you take out the Cold Water Snappers, add in some more card draw. You guys know my lands aren't the best, but honestly my Temur lands are okay. So the fact that we never really drew our lands properly is sort of whatever, or at least enough for Niv-Mizzet. Sort of makes me question whether or not Niv-Mizzet is playable in that kind of deck. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do some shifts to it, but nonetheless, it's gonna be it. Ooh, I was right. My hair was it's all kinds of wacky. Yeah, this is gonna do it for our first patron only video. Let me know what you guys think, and of course, let me know, suggestions for future decks you guys may want to see, or future ideas for what I can do for the patron donors. Now, I may not be able to do everything, but I will of course try and do some. So, as always, peace.